Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial we'll be making this beautiful blouse. I came across this video, I so much love it, and I decided, okay, let's try something like this. I've never made this before. This is my first attempt. I made some mistakes that I will tell you in the later part of this video how to correct. You can draft directly on your fabric, but I decided to use a pattern paper so that I can explain more and it can be more visible. Alright, this is a paper or fabric, and the first thing is to work on the neck, that is on the shoulder. I will mark 3 inches first. I want to work on the shoulder slant, and I will mark 5 inches, and from that 5 inches I'll come down 1.5 inches and I'll draw my shoulder slant line. So after drawing that, I'll work on the length of the blouse. From that edge you mark to the end of your blouse where you want the blouse to get to. I marked 25 inches, and you are going to mark it more like a circle, like a flay. Just watch as I do the marking. So I have marked it round, and this is what I have. This is what I have. The next thing is to determine how I want the sleeve part or the shoulder part to end. I want to mark my back, that's my shoulder divided by 2, which is 8, and that is the point I'm just marking. And there are several ways to do this part. It depends on the fullness you want, how full you want this blouse to be. So this shoulder slant line that I drew earlier, you can decide to extend it. You can decide to extend it and just continue with the line, and that is where your blouse will end, or that is how the blouse will end. You will extend it to that curved line that we just make. I wasn't really sure how I wanted it to be. I just knew I wanted my blouse to be full, so I'm willing to take all the fullness. What I eventually decided to do is to come down at this point by 1.5 inches and just come from the 3 inches I marked before and just draw a slant line to go and join the 1.5 inches that I made, the 1.5 inches mark that I made. So I just joined it, and that gave me the fullness that I wanted. Later I realized that 25 that I used as the length of my blouse looks too small, so I decided to make it 27 instead of 25. So I added 2 inches extra to it. Don't forget, I am making this blouse for the first time, and I am trying to be very careful. If I'm to make a normal blouse for myself, I usually use 24, 25. So now adding 2 inches, I have to add 2 inches to it because I was looking at it, it looks small, and I think eventually I was okay with the length, with the final length. So meaning if you are sewing, you have to add 2 or 3 inches to your normal blouse length. I was okay with the length, but I still had to do a little correction. Stay to the end so that you will see another mistake that I made. So the next thing now is to cut it out, then I'll work on the neckline. Now here I'm trying to show you that if you don't want it very full, you can come down. You see the way I'm drawing that line? You can reduce the fullness of that circle. So if you reduce it, your blouse won't be too full. Just trying to show you how, in case you don't want it very full, or in case you don't have a very large fabric, what you can do. So let me cut it out and I'll come back to show you what I have. Okay, now let's work on the neckline. I'll be using this pattern for the front and the back. So for the back, I marked 3 inches wide by 1 inch deep. So I'll mark that. And for the front, I'll mark 3 inches for the depth and 3 inches for the width as well. I'll cut out the back neckline and use that to cut my fabric. I already cut out the fabric for the back. This is the shoulder. The shoulder is open. The shoulder is cut open, while the center back is cut on fold. The center back is cut on fold. This place is opened. You see it's opened, and the center back is on fold. I still added 1 inch allowance at the lower part because I just don't want it to be too short. I don't want it short. If it is too long, I can cut it off, but if it is short, I wouldn't like it. So I was just being careful. And now this is it. This is the back. That's the back. That's the neckline. Then let's work on the pattern again so that we can cut the front of this dress. The only thing we need to do is to just cut the neckline. After cutting the neckline, I will use this pattern to cut the front. And as you know that this is more like a shirt, so I'll be adding 2.5 inches extra at the center front, which will take care of the button, the overlap at the front, because it's a shirt. So this is the front. I already cut out the front, so this is the I added 2.5 inches allowance at this part. That's the center front, and this is the shoulder. The allowance you had at the center front is determined by your button size, how large your button is. So the next thing is I'll bring the back and I will join the shoulder. Also, I will fold that front allowance, the placket, I will fold it, add interfacing and fold. Now while joining the shoulder, I'll make sure I leave space where my arm will come out from. So it depends on how wide your arm is. I actually use 8 inches. That was what I left. So in total, that is 8 inches times 2, that is 16. So let me take it to the machine and I'll come back to show you what I have after joining, and also how I add the collar. So I'm almost done. I already fixed the collar, and that's the center front with the overlap where the button and the buttonhole will be, and there's the back, there's the collar. Then the joining on the shoulder, I left 8 inches. I left where the arm will be, that is where I'll put the arm. So the next thing is to go get a thick hairstay and cut my fabric so that I can add it. That is what looks more like the sleeve. This is an hairstay, thick one, and I cut, since my arm is the space I left was 8, so I'll cut it, that is 16. I will add the same allowance, I will join it, and I'll join it around that part where the arm will come out from. So after joining, this is it. This is what I have. Now let me point out to you the mistake that we need to correct. Alright, this is the dress on a mannequin. It looks exactly like what we are trying to achieve, but the part that the mistake is at this part. You see, it is shorter. It is shorter at that part. So if you are cutting yours, please add like 3 inches extra at that part, either 3 or 4 inches. If it is too long, you can now trim it off, but for it not to be as short as this, then I think between 3 to 4 inches will be fine. Now let's go back to the pattern so that I can show you where we will need to add the extra 3 or 4 inches. And you remember, this is our pattern. This is the pattern, and this is the part where we extended the, what's it called now, the shoulder allowance. So I mean the shoulder slant. You remember where the shoulder slant is? So it's that point, this part. I need to add more paper to it so that I can add extra, either 3 or 4 inches. Then you just curve it till it gets to the curve. So at this center, you maintain your length. At the center front or center back, the length you maintain it, but at the other end, you had 3 or 4 inches, and this applies to both the back and the front. So at this point you had 3 or 4 inches, and then you blend it. You blend it towards wherever it can meet up. Then after blending, you use it to cut your fabric. Please do not skip this part, if not it will be shorter the way mine is. And this is all I have for you on this tutorial. I hope you have learned something. If this content is the type you would like, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and don't forget to drop your comment if there is any design you would like me to work on for you. Just drop your comments, and I will get back to you. I will read the comments and I will respond, and I will tell you how you can send the design to me so that I can do a video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye for now.